Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today's project is a ceiling fan. When we got moved into the house, I quickly noticed that the lights weren't working in this central light unit, and I also suspected that it was an exhaust fan. And once I got the cover off and confirmed, it certainly is an exhaust fan that has been seized up for God knows how long. First thing we need to do is get this gunk cleared out of here. This is really horrid looking. And then we can look up through there and actually see that it is an exhaust fan. There's the blades for the motor, and that's how it sucks air up through, and it's been sucking crud up for many years. I suspect from the original builders. No idea when the last had working light bulbs in it, but we're going to have to pull this down and see if we can find replacements for it. These aren't too hard to work on, and what we need to do is unscrew that center shaft. It just pulls right out of there, and once that's out, this actual light plate should pop right off. Probably going to take a little bit of force since it's been up there likely since the house was built, and there it snapped off. And they generally have a quick disconnect plug for the light component, and that's easily unplugged with a release tab. There you can see the release tab, just pops right apart. And then we can get into the actual motor side of the things. And we've got the fan exposed now. There seems to be something wrong in the bearing, because it's actually sitting down on the frame, and it should be up here where it can spin easy. I don't know if this is loose or what's going on, but I need to do some exploring here to figure out how this comes apart. And the first thing I have to do is remove this center bracket that the actual light fixture attaches to, and once I get that off, then I can work on getting the fan part of it out. The bracket down and out. Now that the support bracket is out of the way, there's a single screw to release to allow it to pivot down, and a quick release plug for the actual motor part itself. With that screw pulled out and unplugged, I can bring that cover down out of the way. That pops out, and then we can work on getting the screws out that hold the sides of the actual case into place. And one of the hardest parts of getting that down was disconnecting the vent hose itself, but we got that disconnected, and I'm probably going to have to go up into the attic to get it reconnected properly. But we've got that disconnected, and we can take a good look at the motor here. And the motor is pretty well shot. The bearings are shot in it. It just flops around. It's not really holding anything in place, and we need to source out a replacement. Unfortunately, this is probably the most difficult part of the job, is finding a suitable replacement. This particular ceiling fan, exhaust fan, was installed around the time it was built, and it was built with a product that was available from Lowe's at the time, and nothing matches the size anymore, so it was quite difficult to find one. Okay, we are back on this project. It's actually been several weeks since we did more work on it, and I was finally able to source a bathroom ceiling fan that would fit in the hole that we have and cover the previous mark from the previous dome. There's the old previous dome sitting there. It's not quite the same, but it's going to be pretty darn close. This one has all sorts of extra wiring on it. Where I had 3 wires coming out, I now have a huge mess of wires. But really all it is you've got grounds that all need to be tied together, and then you've got power for the light and power for the fan. And since there's only a single light switch and I want them both to turn on at the same time, I'm just going to tie those together, tie all the neutrals together, and then this is just a night light, which I don't have a switch for, so we're going to leave it right out of the system. So tie the grounds, tie the hots, tie the neutrals. It looks complicated, but it's really just those 3 wires to hook up, and then we'll tie into the 3 wires that I tucked back up in there. The only thing I'm lacking is space to get the fan mount up through, but it does have screws, so I can remove that to get it up in the ceiling. I'm just going to have to go up into the attic to connect it once I get done. But I've been up there before putting insulation in, so that's not that big a deal. Relatively easy to get into. One thing I do see might be a problem. No, I guess it won't. The previous fan screwed in through the side. This one has screw holes, but they're front and back rather than side to side. But I should be able to just screw here with these tabs. So, first thing I have to do is remove that so that I can get that up there wire it in, and then mount it up in there. That's going to be just perfect. Alright, I'm going to run down and get some parts. Here is the cover for where the wires go through. And as I mentioned before, got to have one of these in there. That'll protect the wires from any sharp edges. And you can clamp it in place. I'm actually going to use some electrical tape to strengthen that connection. These clamps are actually made to hold the electrical wire itself. I'm merely holding the wires from the fan just temporarily until I can get it up in the air, and you'll see later on that I'm actually running the main wire through. Got my test light, test the wire at a time, and ran and got my wire strippers just to make sure I have plenty of wire to go into the wire nut. Always double check for power, or lack thereof. So now that I've double checked to make absolutely sure there's no power there, I can continue on with the wiring process, and we'll get this all prepped and ready to hold the box up there and get that wired in. And I'm locking that clamp down to the wire, and guess what? And I'm sure you're wondering why that happened. That was actually the GFI. Because the ground and the hot touched, there was no power there. But now the GFI works. So a quick simple explanation there. The GFI works by detecting any kind of current path between the hot or the neutral to the ground. And that fan is running through the GFI. Let's see if I can do this time without upsetting the GFI. Now in the final stages here, I'm going to attach the clamp and the side of the box that bolts into it onto the wire and clamp it down so that there's no way for the wire to move around, and the coating will be completely inside the box along with all the wires that I'm going to connect to it. Now comes the heavy part. I'm going to need to hold this up while wiring it in. Maybe I can do something to support that. Support bracket from the old fan should do the trick. On second thought, maybe not. But hey, I'm stubborn, so we're going to make it work. Again, this part's really easy. We're just going to twist up all of the colors together, so all the blacks will get together, all the whites will get together, and the grounds will get together. We'll twist them all up and add a wire nut to them and some tape to hold the wire nut on permanently. I'm going to push the night light wire off to the side and just throw a piece of tape on it so it can't connect to anything. There's no switch for the night light, so there's no point in wiring it in. But if we had one, we could. I just never learn, do I? Either way, we're almost done here, so I'm just going to tie these wires up. I'll hold the thing with my shoulder because I only got a few left to go. If it falls, it's only going to fall as far as the wires anyways, because that's going to hold it in place. So we'll just get these twisted up and then we can push the box up into place where it belongs. And at this point, the battery in my camcorder is just about dead, and I need to go up into the attic anyways, so it's super dark up there. I can't really record anything. I don't have the lighting or somebody to even hold the camera, so we're just going to skip that part of it and move on to the rest. And here we are finishing up. It's actually, believe it or not, been almost a year since I started this. I just hadn't had a chance to get the footage put together, and when I did, I realized that I was missing the whole ending of it. So I'm recording it now. And I took this back apart so we can finish the video properly. And what we've got here is the fan's all connected up just like the previous one. We've got plugs here for the fan and the light kit. And this has collected some dust because the dryer is in this room. That's where all the dust was coming from on the previous one, because the washer dryer room is right in here. So we can finish connecting this now. We've got the new glass to go on. We've got this piece which holds on our light kit. So we'll put this on first. And the way that works is this screws into this crossbar, just like the previous one had. And then you can hold the light kit up, plug it into here, and then that will connect all that together. And I actually have this on too soon because this is going to hold the light kit up. So let me take this back off, and then I'll plug this in and then use that bar to connect the light kit and hold that up. Here's our light kit, regular plug on the back of it. So we can plug that in, mount it into place. These bulbs are, for this particular one, are little screw-in fixture bulbs. I've got fluorescent ones in here, but they just screw into that and then light up. This is the night light here that I was telling you about that I did not connect. Just left it in there for whatever reason. Not really needed. That snaps into place. And then this bar, which I put in too quickly, is what holds that up in. So now I can screw that on. In my case, I want to make sure that it's covering up the previous paint marks, which it is. Get that nice and snug. Probably a good idea to test the light. It's working. Fan is working. Install the glass back up. And that's going to be glass with a little washer piece, decorative washer piece, and the cap that goes over it. Now you want that snug. You want to make sure you don't tighten it with as much force as you can, because you can put too much pressure on the glass and actually break it. So the glass just barely turns a little bit here. That's nice and snug. So we'll call it good. And that is how you change a bathroom exhaust fan / light combo. Have a great night.